Starting. Okay, YouTube is started. Hello, YouTube. How's it going? Hello, Instagram. How's it going? Hope everyone is doing well. Let me open up the YouTube live chat here. This is something I want to start doing. I want to start doing a weekly live stream. I want to start doing that. Hello, Anita on Instagram. I want to start doing a weekly live stream on Instagram, on YouTube, on various social networks as a way to, first and foremost, I want to be able to answer people's questions. And I think that one a week is probably manageable for me, and I think that it's kind of an appropriate time frame. And second of all, to give you sort of life updates, miscellaneous life updates in my world. Because obviously, as you guys probably know if you follow me, I post a lot of content, and I have a lot of stuff on my plate. I work a lot. It's 10:32 p.m. and I'm still working on a Sunday. So work a lot, and I'm moving very, very fast. I'm trying to get lots and lots of things done. And as I'm trying to get all these different things done, I'm creating a bit of a mess everywhere. Like there's lots of, I mean, it's kind of like there's so many balls that I'm juggling and so many things that I'm doing that sometimes I need a moment just to kind of sit, slow down, and go, all right, we've done all these things in a week. Let's just bring it all down into one concise little video. So we already have one question. Let's start with your guys' questions. So if you have any questions, what languages, type them in. After I answer your questions, I will kind of jump into some things in my world. So first question here, rather the only question so far, is what is your biggest advice to learn French? I've always wanted to learn this language, but struggled to even start. Well, I'll answer this, but first thing I want to know, if you're still in the live stream, I'd love to know, why have you struggled to start? I want to know that. What has been the roadblock for you to even start studying? Because you can start studying in a lot of ways. You can start studying a language via watching some YouTube videos. You can start studying a language by reading a free online textbook. There's lots of very low commitment ways to start. And I'd be very curious as to why you've struggled to start, like what's holding you back. I want to know that. As you type that answer in, as to what is holding you back from starting, I'll share some thoughts. Really, in my opinion, one of the best things for learning, not just French, but really any language, is you need to be dedicating. It's actually funny, I answered this question just earlier today in my DMs, in my direct messages, is you need to be dedicating time every single week to reading, writing, speaking, and listening. All four. Those are kind of the four elements of learning a language: reading, writing, listening, speaking. And at the end of the day, the more time you dedicate to each one of those four elements, the better you'll get. So if you can do 50 hours a week, 50, then wow, good for you. If you can do 2 hours a week, well, you got to pick where you're going to do your 2 hours. Are you going to put it on reading, on speaking, on writing? Where is it going? So, so that's yeah, there's something there. I've got the response here. So the response from Melon, I don't know how to say your name, but MELANCIONE123 has said that the pronoun citation of French has always been a barrier for me. Pronoun citation, I don't fully know what you mean by that. I'm not sure I fully understand. So feel free to type back in and give me some info. Oh, perfect. There she goes, or he goes, he or she goes. Some of the sounds don't exist in English, and trying to mimic those sounds was hard. Interesting. Okay. So what I would do if you're struggling on the pronunciation, one of the things that I would highly recommend is go to YouTube. Actually, two things I'll do for you. Two. Number one, go to YouTube and search up French pronunciation. Actually, I'm going to do it as we talk right now. I'm pretty sure there's a specific video I'm thinking of that I've seen. Let me Google it or YouTube it. French pronunciation, IPA, I think it's called. Here we go. I think this is it right here. Oh, there's lots of them. There's more than I thought, actually. There's a whole bunch of them. The one I watched, here it is. There's a channel called French avec nous. French, FRENCH, then space, AVEC, space, NOUS. I've watched the video. It's called French Phonetics / French Sounds. Learn French with French avec nous is basically what the video is called. There's lots of videos that will literally break down exactly how to say each sound, like literally. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, I am very, very familiar with French phonetics. Send me a DM. We can exchange Skypes. I can help you for half an hour. We can sit for half an hour one day, and I'm happy to help you work through some of the pronunciation bits. So perfect. Hello, jegheader_Polly. Thank you for joining in the live stream here. We always get more on the Instagram, I've noticed, and YouTube, which is always interesting. But if you have any more questions, feel free to type them in. As you guys are thinking of questions, I'll rant on a couple little things in my life that I'd like to talk about. First and foremost, what's going on in my world? You know, it's funny. Actually, here's a couple things. YouTube, you obviously know this, but Instagram, you guys may or may not. I have been doing daily vlogs again. So every single day, I've been posting videos on YouTube and on Facebook, for that matter, Facebook as well, about what I'm doing every single day. And they've been doing quite well on YouTube. Actually, they're doing very, very well, which I'm happy about. Update number 2. Oh, we have a question here. Let me give you update number 2, then I'll answer the question. Update number 2 in my world. I have been featured on. You guys, everyone knows this. Anyone who's following me, if you don't know this, you're not paying. You're like barely paying attention, which I don't blame you for. But I've been featured on an app called Anchor.fm. I have been featured, and I essentially am now a radio host, I guess. I'm essentially like literally on the front page of their Discover page, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty exciting. Now let's jump into the question. Have you ever learned a language with a non-Latin writing system? How do you even start with those languages? So yes, I have. I actually, for the past roughly 3 years, I've been learning Mandarin, so Mandarin Chinese. I have, and I am not bad now. I'm not perfect, but I'm not bad at Mandarin. I'm quite decent at it. And how do you start with those? I mean, the same way you start with any language, perfectly honestly. The only way you start with any language. I mean, personally, I always start with a YouTube search. Literally, like there's 1,001 ways to start a language. Just go on YouTube, literally search like basic, insert language here, phrases. Basic Chinese phrases, basic English phrases, basic French phrases, basic Japanese phrases, basic blah 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 phrases, basic. That's how you can start. No commitment. You listen. You can watch. That's a great way to start learning. The other thing to think about as well, if there's a non-Latin writing system, the other thing you can think about is, and this is kind of rogue, and it doesn't work with everything, but you could literally start to go, maybe I don't learn the writing system at first. So Mandarin, for example, I know many, many, many people who essentially, when they started, chose not to learn the characters. They chose to just focus on the speaking aspect, and they learn the characters later. So that's something I've seen people do as well. Obviously, that might become a little bit more challenging in languages that are not character-based, but just the alphabet is different, right? So maybe there's no A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but there's like blah, whatever there is, right? That might be a little bit more challenging because there might not be an alternate way to actually read something. Versus in Chinese, you could, technically speaking, just write in pinyin, just write in the like English letters and learn that way. Hello, Abaisa. Thank you for joining in. Hello. Thank you for joining. I appreciate all the attention on Instagram. I do notice it, by the way. So yeah, let's answer that's that question answered there. Let's keep ranting on my life as people think of their own questions for me if they have any. So where did I leave off? Oh yes, so I'm featured on Anchor, featured on the radio app Anchor.fm, which is pretty exciting. Happy about that. And yeah, I've been going really hard on it. So one of the things that actually I haven't talked about this out loud. Let's talk about this for the 3-4 people watching here on YouTube and Instagram. One of the things that I want to do while I have this opportunity of being on Anchor is I want to get a US calling plan on my cell phone, because as of right now on the Anchor app, essentially one thing you can do on the Anchor app is you can actually call people and do an interview on your radio station. The challenge is you need to be able to call US numbers. I mean, like in the States, Canada numbers don't work as of right now. And so I want to be able to take advantage of this opportunity, being featured and being a featured channel, and really capture as much attention as possible, because it's actually like ridiculous. It's kind of silly how many people are finding me on Anchor right now. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how fast it grows, but yeah, I want to be able to get essentially start to interview some people on my Anchor channel, and I can't do that without having the option to do US calling. So that is something that I'm going to be looking into this week. So another question just came through. How many years have you been on your language learning journey? Technically speaking, wow. Okay, let's answer it this way. I'll put it to you this way. Probably since I was, call it 16 years old, so that's 8 years now. I've been learning French since I was 5 years old, because I went to a French immersion school. However, I didn't really realize that I had a passion for languages until I was roughly 16 years old. And that's kind of when that's sort of when I decided that I would focus a lot. Well, that's when I decided that I would focus a lot of time on languages. So I started with, a lot of you know the story. If you followed me for a while, you might know it. So I apologize if it is repetitive, but I started with French. Technically, my first language is Gujarati, but I don't speak it perfectly. So English is my best language. Gujarati was also learned simultaneously with speaking with my family. And then after that, I did French through school. Spanish, I started in high school when I was in grade 11, grade 11. Then I started Mandarin like years later. It would have been, let's see, 5 years after, yes, 5 years after Spanish, I started Mandarin. And I'll probably be good at, give me another 3 years in Mandarin and I'll be good. That's kind of my prediction as of right now, 3 more years at Mandarin. And I should be pretty freaking fluent. I'd like to actually teach Mandarin. That's something I haven't said out loud either. I'd like to teach Mandarin. So that's, the goal is to reach a level of fluency where I can actually be like, hey, I can teach you. I can teach you at essentially any level. So long way to go for that, but I think I'm roughly halfway there. That's kind of where my gut is right now. So another question just came through. YouTube peeps, feel free to type in questions too. I am watching the YouTube chat. How many languages are you learning at the moment? I'm currently focused in on Mandarin, Chinese. I've said that a couple times. After Mandarin, my next 2, I'm going to likely do 2 at the same time, which will be the Gujarati and Hindi is kind of the 2 that I'll do kind of at the same time. It's funny how I hesitated before I even said that out loud, because interestingly, I would much rather move to Russian or Arabic. And yet I think I will move to Gujarati Hindi first, because I feel very silly that I speak so many languages better than my own quote unquote native language, right? So, so I think those will need to happen. Hopefully those will be quicker. I would imagine they will be, because I already have a good base in Gujarati. And like I said, technically it's my first language. Hello, Andy. Thanks for hopping on the YouTube. We're just doing a Q&A. Actually, Andy, I'll tell you, because I know you've been a long-time subscriber, so I'll pause this whole live stream, just chat with you for a second. Essentially, I've decided I want to do a weekly live stream. I'm going to test it out for a little while. We'll see if I like it. But a weekly live stream where I answer people's questions and also talk about things in my life that maybe haven't come out in my vlogs or anything like that. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, Andy, feel free to type them in. Anyway, another question just came through. What is your opinion regarding endangered languages? Where my brain immediately went to, and I'm going to share it. I don't know if this is a politically correct opinion, but that's where my brain immediately went, and so I'm going to. Oh, Andy says my thing just paused. No, I haven't paused it. Nothing's paused, but my stream has not paused. There we go. Anyway. Endangered languages. My first thought was, things evolve, and languages will go in and out of popularity. Right? They will go in and out of popularity. That's just sort of where my brain goes. What is that noise? Let's maybe move this here. That might help Instagram peeps. Hopefully that helps. Anyway. My opinion is that languages go in and out of popularity, and some will go extinct. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not fully educated on endangered languages enough to really have a solid opinion on it. But that's kind of where the first place my brain actually went to. By the way, Instagram people, do you guys, or even YouTube, do you hear a bit of a weird noise by any chance? Seems like one person said here that there was a weird noise. I think it might have been the fan on my laptop, because I had my phone sitting right next to the fan, so I just moved it over. I think it might have been that. So if it is better, just give me a yes or a no just to let me know. Cool. Any more questions? Feel free to type them in. What else is new in my world? I'll kind of rant on it a bit. What's new that I haven't shared? Oh, here's here's one thing. I haven't really fully gotten into it again, but one thing I want to start to do, and it's more about if I can fit it in my schedule because I do so much, right? Is blogging. I want to get back into blogging. The biggest challenge I have with blogging. Hello, Fank. Long time no see on Instagram. The biggest challenge I have with blogging is that unlike videos, unlike other types of content that I do, blogging takes me quite some time, meaning it takes me time to write. Writing is a bit of a process for me, and I'm a strong writer, but the challenge is that it takes a long time. And the thing is that I haven't found a scalable way to make blog posts relatively quickly and not automate it, but systemize it. So for videos, for example, I found I have a system that's allowed me to systemize how I can get my videos out quickly, which reminds me I have one more task I have to do today, which actually I haven't talked about before either. We can talk about this. Andy, thanks for the quick comment there. I appreciate that. It's good to hear that YouTube's clear. Anyway, my system for getting content out is essentially I have my vlog, which is like the top piece of content, and everything stems down from the blog. So essentially I'll use the blog as my pillar content, and then I'll chop portions out for Instagram. I will also chop out portions of the vlog to create separate standalone pieces. And I will take pieces of those for Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, I also post long form. And then my Anchor radio posts, I will use that to get to iTunes and to Google Play Music and my podcasting places. And I also use that as a morning not talk show, it's the wrong word, a morning audio every single morning. Well, most, if not every single morning on Facebook. So I've got a system that works that allows me to cover every single important social network, right? Snapchat, Instagram. Oh, Snapchat, Instagram stories. I use, that's kind of like vlogging on the spot. So I just sort of take pictures as my day goes, take quick videos. It's pretty easy. And I try and make sure I'm getting 5 to 10 story posts a day. Also, what I like about Snapchat is on Snapchat, I can just literally take a video off my phone and post it, and Snapchat crops it properly for me. Instagram story doesn't do that. So I can't post stuff on Instagram stories as much as Snapchat sometimes. But at any rate, I'm pretty happy with the system I've figured out to get content across everywhere. But the one thing I haven't figured out is blog posts, because if I can find a scalable way to get my blog posts in, the other thing that bleeds into is my Instagram. Because I found that on my Instagram, this is getting super nerdy, but let's talk about it. I found that on my Instagram, one of the things that completely over indexes is when I take a blog post and I take screen caps of it on my phone and I post it as a what do they call the carousel posts on my Hello Kapoof Classroom, welcome. As carousel posts on the Instagram stream. I found those highly over-index. And I also put them in my story and people read them in my story. So the story and my Instagram stream essentially become like a mini book, and you can flip through it. So, but the challenge is I'd be able to write the blog post. So the other way that I thought about doing this, by the way, new people have joined on. We're doing a bit of a Q&A, so feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions. So one of the things I've thought about doing is seeing if I can get people to interview me and write blog posts about me. It seems kind of weird, right? But seeing if I can get other people that want to write about me that benefits them for content, and I then will use their content and share it on my Instagram. So it's a bit of a trade-off, actually, because you will write it, right, about me. I will then use it to give you exposure for your blog, for your website, etc. So it's a kind of a backwards way to do it, but something I've thought about. The other thing that sort of happened by accident today is on Facebook ads. So I run Facebook ads, and when I write, sometimes I'll write things that are smart and end up being a quarter of a blog post, and I can expand on. So it's been another way I've done it. So something, yeah. Anyway, that's a big rant on blogging, but I haven't problem solved that yet. That's something I'm in the process of figuring out. Couple other things that are top of mind for me in my world. Any questions come through? No questions. I'll keep ranting then. A couple of things that are new in my world are voice is big right now. So Amazon Alexa, things like that. Smart homes, which is not available in Canada, unfortunately, for Amazon, but it's something that I want to look into as soon as it's available. You can actually, I'll keep that to myself. But anyway, other things that are top of mind are, what else is top of mind? Let me actually just open it up, open up my computer here. Oh yeah, this is top of mind. I'm going hard on, we're leading into September here. This is becoming a very business conversation, but anyway, we're essentially getting into September. September means that school's starting, and I'm getting very, very heavy. I'm pushing hard at getting students leading into September, especially because kids are going back to school. And so that's kind of a good time. And so right now, you know, I kind of view my marketing time in two different chunks. Two chunks. Chunk one is what I call like the hand-to-hand combat. What I mean by hand-to-hand combat is doing things like finding 5 more students so I can go make, you know, an extra $500 a month or whatever it is, right? Things like that. How can I do that? How can I retain that one student? How can I increase the average spend per student? Like very, very minute day-to-day things that lead you to making an extra $200 a month, $100 a month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then the other part of my time is spent heavily on the cloud side, right? Like the very up in the air, the very up in the air side of things. And what I mean by that is the side of things where, how do I explain this? The side of things where it's like very, very branding focused. So posting content, posting vlogs, doing these live streams, talking with you guys, where there is no, you guys aren't paying me to be here, obviously. I wouldn't expect you to. But what happens is that when I do a live stream, we get to talk, right? I answer your questions, right? You might feel differently out of the live stream about me, right? You're like, oh, Azren's a cool guy. He answered my questions. Oh, I like this guy, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, let's say you're from whatever country, 7 years from now, you know, you follow my content, we've got to know each other a little bit. And next thing you know, there might be something that opens up just because you followed me for a while, right? And vice versa. I might be able to open things up for you. So for example, earlier we had someone on here who's like, man, I got some troubles at French pronunciation, and you caught me in the right moment. And I was like, sure, I'll give you half an hour of my time. We can figure out, I can maybe try and help you with the hardest sounds that you're struggling with. So we can help each other, right? It's kind of what it is to be part of a community. So anyway, got some questions in. Let's start answering. Let's do, Andy came in first, then let's do Kafoof Classroom, or Kafoople. Nope, not Kafoof, Kafoople. Kafoople Classroom. I like that, by the way. Andy Roberts on YouTube says, I think you said you were planning to start Hindi soon. Do you have a plan for how do you want to start it? What methods or materials do you prefer to use when you start a new language? Good question, Andy. For me, my process, it's actually funny. You'll see a post about this, probably not tomorrow, but the day after, I think, on YouTube. But my process usually looks like this. First, I go onto YouTube. I like to search things on YouTube. I just like to watch basic phrases. I've actually already done it for Hindi not that long ago, probably 6 months ago. Basic phrases, just basic stuff. Just want to get my feet wet. Often I go into music as well. I like music. I like to get into it that way. From there, I like to take classes. So I probably will take a class for Hindi when I get into that. From there, I will travel to a country, like in this case, India. I will travel to learn there. I'll probably take a class there. I will travel. I'll really immerse myself. I'll come back, feel like, oh my God, I suck at this language. That's always what happens. Oh my God, I have so much more to learn. I'll dive back into classes. And yet when I dive into my classes, because I've traveled abroad and I have that experience, I usually end up being top of my class here. And then I feel really smart again. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting good. I'll go back to the country again. And then that'll be kind of my perfecting stage. Come back to Calgary, polish things off with more classes, things like that. That's typically a strategy. On top of that, I will also do things such as language exchanges. I will do things like listen to music, watch videos, watch movies, listen to music. I already said that, podcasts, things like that, which is also supplementing everything else I'm doing. And recently for Chinese, Mandarin, I've gotten into this sort of by accident, but I have students whose parents are Mandarin speaking, right? And I've gotten some contacts now in the Chinese community in my city, which then opens different doors. I run a meetup group for practicing Mandarin as well in my city, which kind of hit and miss for events, but it still gives me some practice and connection to the whole Chinese community. So that's sort of my process in a nutshell. So Andy, I like your comment there. Lol, you create your own emotional roller coaster and use that to motivate yourself. Love it. Now let's go to Kafoopal Classroom. What is your main method for finding students? So right now, the main things come from, one, ads, so online ads. I've gotten a couple things figured out. I've figured out like my spend to go, I spend this much, I get this many leads, this is how many calls I'll get, this is how much people spend on average, and I figured the math out on that, which is good, on a couple of different online ads that I do. Number two, what I do as well is my own network. You know, I do a lot of things that I have a lot of things that come to me. So I'll give you some examples. There's a translation gig, extra, you know, I don't want to talk numbers, I don't really know yet, but there's a translation gig that could be an additional significant chunk of cash every month. And it's not set in stone, but it came to me. Anyone who follows my vlogs, you know this. It came to me because I happen to say hello to people when I work at the library. When I'm working there, I see the different tutors and walk up to someone and say, hi, hello, my name's AZREN, what's your name? We'll just chat. And I don't ask them anything, just to get to know people. And then as you get to know people, things come to you, right? I do meetup events, so we just literally just grab dinner with people in the city with a bunch of strangers who like languages. One day it's like, hey, you teach Spanish. So-and-so told me you teach Spanish. Is that true? It's like, yeah, I do. I've been looking for a teacher, right? So things come to me. Those are kind of, I'm trying to think any other major ones. Yeah, it's kind of the major stuff right now. I've gotten one off of my YouTube as well. It's been a longer time student now because they followed my stuff and they like me. So now we are she's my student. You guys have probably seen her in the comments every now and then on YouTube, but so that's obviously come in. And I also, last thing I'll say for students, I've done less of this now, but early on I did this. This is kind of my first batch of students, a couple. I used to cold email different language clubs, different language, like university, college clubs. And I would say, hey, you're a French club. Can you post about me teaching? I will give, you know, and I would offer like 2-3 hours of lessons for free. Like, hey, you want lessons? I'll do 2-3 hours free because I was starting at zero. I had no leverage. So when you have no leverage, you have no choice but to do stuff for free. And I used to charge ridiculously cheap rates. Like it was yeah. So it was kind of scrappy at the beginning to try and get the initial 5, 2, 3, 4, 7 customers or students rather. So so a couple of actually I still have some of those initial people that I got from there. I still have 1, 2. I should do more of that because now that I'm thinking about it, thank you for the question. I'm actually thinking this through. There's 1, 2. There's actually, I think I've retained every single, here's the crazy, I need to look at this after this live stream. Every single person that came from that source is still my customer to this day. That is ridiculous lifetime value. I need to do more of that. That's funny how that worked out because anyway, I'll process that on my own time. Anyway, another question came through here. Lots of people in the language community talk about Pimsleur and Glossica. What are your thoughts on those audio methods? Don't know, Kevin. I've heard of them. Not a huge expert in them per se. I mean, I've heard good things generally. I'm going to Google it right now as we chat, just so I can get some context on what this is. Pimsleur method. You can read it, see what it is. Here we go. Oopsies. There we go. So what is this here? Essentially, you get to, how does it work? 30 minutes a day. Pop-up ads. I hate pop-ups. Here we go. Come on, Pimsleur. No more pop-up ads. We're not in 1999. Okay, anyway. 30 minutes a day. Only 30 minutes to learn the Pimsleur way. Give us 30 minutes a day and we'll have you speaking a new language in no time. Okay. 30 minutes a day is all it takes to develop a near native accent and become proficient in your new language. Okay. Plus Pimsleur's portability, makes it easy for you to find the time. Okay. Okay. So essentially just listen. Is this how this works? Sounds like you just listen to people talk. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it seems okay. I will say this, and this is an uneducated opinion on what I just read. What it sounds like to me, literally off a 45-second, just, another pop-up. Guys, you gotta stop this nonsense. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, here we go. There's more info here. So you listen to it. Okay. So anyway, from what I could tell, you listen to different audios that are going to give you lessons, half-hour lessons. And I assume they're going to make you talk in the lessons. I assume there's homework that's given in the lessons. to make you work out of the lessons. I would think, maybe I'm wrong, but even if there isn't, I think that it seems okay. It seems okay. My initial gut reaction, just as I read it, is it sounds like there's a lot of focus on the listening side, which is good. My initial gut reaction on Pimsleur specifically, not Glossika, and I don't want anyone to hold me to this because I've never tried it. I've never really done my homework, but my initial gut reaction is a lot of listening. There's probably not a lot of writing, and there's probably not a lot of reading, I'd imagine. And there's probably an okay amount of talking, but you're probably limited to the number of people you're talking with and having real conversations with. And so although you might learn a lot, I feel like my initial gut reaction is that you might struggle with actually implementing it when you're speaking to real native speakers. That's my gut reaction. But that being said, I will say this, a lot of these language programs, there's no bad or good language programs. It's how you choose. It's a tool. You give me a piano, for example, and I can't really do much with it because I don't know how to play a piano. Just don't know how, right? That being said, if you give a piano to like a professional pianist or something, they can use it and they can do shows and they can make money off of it. They can do things with it. I think these language learning programs and courses are also kind of a similar thing that you can. They're all tools. They're not necessarily one's better than another. It's can you implement the tool in a way that helps you learn. So for instance, I'll give you an example. When I do language, so here's a good example. When I do language classes, I don't typically take notes. So to give you context, I've now taken in the past 2 weeks, I've been through intensive Mandarin classes. In my intensive Mandarin classes, I've taken, call it maybe 15, 25, I don't know, 25, 15, 30, plus another 35, so that'll be 45, maybe 30 hours-ish of lessons in the past 2 weeks in Mandarin. And in my 30, so get this, 30 hours of lessons. And let me tell you how many notes I've taken. Let me open it up here. Intensive. These lesson notes. Here we go. I'll open it up. Here we go. I've taken essentially, okay, so I wish I could show you this, but it's 3.5 pages of notes, but it's not really 3.5 pages. It's 3.5 pages of bullet points. So think about that. In 30 hours, that's how much I've taken. To me, that's not a lot. And the funny thing, in my mind anyway, is that I purposely take classes and I don't write notes because I need my ears to be engaged and not my writing. So with that being said, like if I chose, this is maybe not a great example, but I'll roll with it. If I chose to use the language class tool differently, where I did take lots of notes and I tried to use that tool to get all this stuff on paper and study it after, I don't think the tool would work quite as well. So not the best example, I apologize, but hopefully it demonstrates the point of needing to use the tool in the best way for you. So any more questions came through here? It doesn't look like it. Andy Roberts says, I use audio courses a lot, but it looks like AZREN has never tried them. Yep, you're right. My personal favorites are language transfer, which I have heard good things about, by the way. Language transfer, heard good things. And Michelle Thomas. Yeah, so I mean, sounds like some people have positive experiences. So people are still watching this. Trying to think anything else I want to rant on, since people are still, since you're still giving me your attention. Anything new in my life here that I want to rant on still, but I haven't talked about. Blogging, talked about the business. I've talked about, yeah, not much, guys. Yep, I think we'll wrap. Oh, one last thing before you guys hop off, before I hop off too, is I'm going to start doing this weekly. I think I want to do this weekly anyway. At least I'm going to test it weekly and see how I like it. But I feel like it got my gut reaction. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's a good way to keep in touch with people in a live way and not just recorded videos. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is every Sunday, I want to do this live stream here at, I'll tell you what time I'm going to do it. It's already in my calendar. It is at every Sunday, I will do a live stream at about 11 o'clock a.m. my time. So that is, oh, that's literally 12 hours before right now. So whatever time it is in your time zone, check your clocks. So 12 hours before now. I think for most people, this is a decent time. For Europe, that's roughly 7 p.m., 7 roughly-ish, depending on where you are. For North America, that's anywhere between, call it 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. So I think that's a decent time to do these live ones. So I think it's fair. If you guys think I'm wrong, then please chime in now. Okay, yeah, so that's the time. Hours before what it is right now. That'll be the time every Sunday. I'll give it a test. I might cancel it after a while, but I'll try for the next couple of weeks at a minimum. Andy Roberts, I'll answer your question. Then I have to hop off. It's 11:07 p.m. So it's getting a little bit late here, and I want to relax for half an hour before I sleep. So Andy says, I know you reach a C level in Spanish and French. How do you rate your Gujarati and Mandarin conversation on the CEFR scale? So I would say Mandarin, let's start there. Mandarin, I'm probably at a high B1 or a very low B2. I'd say a high B1 is probably more, actually, I don't know. Yeah, high B1 is probably accurate. I'm going to do an update video in Mandarin, actually. I'm going to do an update in Mandarin next week. I'm going to do one so you guys can hear my Mandarin that's changed. And in terms of Gujarati, Gujarati is probably a low B1, somewhere in there. Kafuf, you said you should do Facebook Live too. Yes, I will do a Facebook Live. Hey, Andy, thanks for the comment there. See you later. Facebook Lives, yes. The only issue is I need to have a third device. I have my laptop. I have the Instagram. I need a third device, essentially. And I actually, now that I just said that out loud, I realized I have a third device. I just don't have it's interesting. I wonder how I can do that. I'll problem solve it. I'll figure it out. I agree with you. I should do a Facebook Live. I don't do enough there, so you could do it simultaneously. Kafupal Classroom, if you could explain to me how I could do it simultaneously, send me a DM. That'd be great. But yeah, I have an iPad. I'll figure it out. I'll try and I'll problem solve something. I'll hash something out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure something out. So anyway, fourth person who just hopped on YouTube. Bad timing, bud. I'm just hopping off. I've been on for 40 minutes. So, and it's 11:10 p.m. where I am. So anyway, see you guys next week. 12 hours earlier than right now is when I'll be online. So cool. See you guys. Bye. And the Instagram. Oh, it's in Chinese. Oh my goodness. It's in Chinese. I gotta read which one is. That one is cancel. 结束直播. Okay, this one. There we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. I can't read that. Do I want to share this video for 24 hours? 让更多用什么看? So do I want to post my story? Oh, let's do it. Let's do that. Let's do that. Perfect. Amazing. By the way, quick tip for anyone who's left. You guys totally should change your phones to whatever language you're learning. Super good. Anyway, I'm loving it. It's actually weird to change it back to English. I had to change it back to English for like 3 seconds, and it was super strange. But anyway, see you guys. Gotta go. Bye.